Well, hello, everyone. This is Rachel Carl, and welcome to the 10th session of the 6-week Reclaim Your Life, How to Get Off and Stay Off Illegal and Legal Drugs and Alcohol teleclass series. Tonight is going to be Physical Causes of Mental Health Symptoms, Tests, and Managing Your Doctor for the best results in your Green Body and Mind program. What we're going to be covering tonight in Module 10 is you're going to learn how your mental health symptoms are not all in your head. You're also going to learn the tests your doctor can order. We're going to cover integrated medicine for an integrated body and much more. Also, once again, I want to remind you that you have a chance to get your questions answered on this call. If you're listening live from your computer, you can just enter your question in that box on the left-hand side of your screen that says Submit Your Question for the event here. We'd love to answer your questions on this call, and we do try to get to all of them. But if we run out of time, or if you're listening to the CDs at home, you can email us your questions at any time at findpeace@shangri-la-biospa.com. Most of you know who our guest of honor is, since this is the 10th session of this module, but I'll just tell you a little bit about her. She's a Human Rights Award winner, a nutritional biochemist, and licensed healthcare practitioner, and the medical director of the BioSanctuary Addiction Recovery and Green Mental Health Care Center. Our guest for this series is an author and humanitarian, and it's Ms. Janita Petrali, and she wants to make true green mental health care accessible to everyone, which is why she's created programs just like the one you're listening to right now. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest of honor. Welcome, Janita.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. Of all the modules, I mean, every single module has its core value in this process. However, this evening's is one of the most important, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But first, I'm going to, in this evening's is it's not all in your head. Mental health, there's a physical cause for mental health symptoms, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to demonstrate that to you, and I'm also going to help you guide you as to how to manage your doctor so that you can, get insurance to help you. What I'm trying to do here is shift people from when they have depression or anxiety, these nagging mental health symptoms. Instead of thinking, oh, I need to go to a psychiatrist, I am driving people back to their doctor, their allopathic, their real, your family doctor, your internist. These people, these medical doctors have the diagnostics, the tools at hand to be able to test the physical nature of your neuroendocrine system and find the underlying cause for your mental health symptoms, because except for much less than 1%, like a half of 1%, and these figures are very general, but it's way down there, these statistics, but it's way, way down there, of people that are diagnosed with mental health issues actually have an organic mental health, damage to the brain. And these are the things that you're born with, people. They don't develop over time. It's just you don't turn 18 and all of a sudden, it gets schizophrenia. This is not the case. And so anyway, so the rest, the 99.9 or so percent out there, they're taking psych drugs, are taking them and damaging their bodies for no reason, damaging the brains for no reason. That is not the solution. It never was the solution. And so I'm going to help everyone this evening, depending upon their symptoms, get an idea what kind of tests they need, talk to their doctor, because I want to give this population back to the people that can actually help them, and that is your regular doctor. Now, if your regular doctor, your family doctor is pill happy, as a psychiatrist, then you need to get another doctor. There are many. The paradigm is shifting today, people, and I'm so glad I get to live to witness this. There are hordes and hordes and hordes, just people just flooding the gates. New upcoming doctors, integrative physicians that have both MD and naturopath or Chinese medicine or any of the other very, very valuable holistic accreditations that are licensed to practice both. And these are the people, if your doctor, will not work with you like this, you find yourself an integrative physician, and you will be in the best of hands because you will be provided the best of both worlds. The allopathic side is always good for diagnostics, for good oversight. Make sure you're safe doing what you're doing, that you're not risking yourself. And then, of course, the holistic side is the side that you want, to answer the diagnoses that you receive from your doctor. So anyway, I'm going to just real quick here introduce the series. I always like go right to the subject matter. I'm so excited about this evening because this is a really, really a key a piece of information and education that is critical. So, to get you the help that you need, and if you have insurance, to have your insurance cover it. So Green Body of Mind presents Green Mental Health and Addiction Recovery. It's a series. It's a 12 CD series. It's about staying sane in a toxic world. And these are my endorsements. We've gone through all of this before. I do this every single time. I don't even know why I have these slides still here, actually. However, this one is important. This whole entire series is all about green mental health. This is a term that I came up with to describe non-toxic, non-addictive, and non-invasive mental health care. It is medicine, and it is aligned with nature and supported by science, all right? Remember that you always want your treatment and your diagnoses to be supported by science. That you cannot get at a psychiatrist's office, okay? You need to go to a real doctor and get some real evidence, and someone that is knowledgeable in the holistic area as well to help you, okay? Because drugs don't heal, all right? Drugs mask, drugs damage the body, drugs impair every healing mechanism in the body. That's not the route you want to go. Okay, and this evening's topic again is it's not all in your head. Physical causes of mental health symptoms, the tests, and managing your doctor. Okay, off to the doctor you go. You are doing everything right, just like the TV, magazine, sales, science, and urban legends created by front groups have told you, so there must be something wrong with you. This link here is a link from Dr. I always have a hard time pronouncing his last name, Skaz. He is the co-founder, I believe, of CCHR, and brilliant man and very dedicated to the voice for human rights for mental health patients. And this is a quick, I think it's 3-4 minutes, where he is discussing how there isn't anything wrong with you, but I'm going to expand on that, of course, because the reality, you see, people, we have it backwards. This culture has it backwards. There is nothing wrong with you, okay? Your brain is designed to send out alarms when something is wrong, and those alarms are the many symptoms people go to the psychiatrist for. All right? Now, like I'm saying, the premise to this discussion this evening, this lecture this evening, is about the physical underlying causes of mental health symptoms. Here's what's going on. There's something you're hurting. There's something breaking down in your neuroendocrine system, whether it's from chronic stress, toxicity, toxic food, wrong foods, bad foods, empty calories, malnutrition, the many, many, many causes of the neuroendocrine system, environmental pollution, just tanking these days, okay? There is something wrong. There is something going on. It's physical in nature. However, your brain is simply reporting it, okay? The brain is the messenger. Do not kill the messenger. Everything is working just as it should. There is nothing wrong with you. Everything is working just as it should. You are built to have symptoms, okay? Depression just doesn't drop out of the sky, all right? It's not somewhere out there in your consciousness and, some pill is going to go out, and cancel it out. No, it does mask it, but it's certainly not going to cure it and cancel it out. So you have to look at this opposite way that people have been trained and brainwashed to look at this. They're trained and brainwashed to look at the body as the enemy. Oh my God, I have anxiety. That's horrible. I'm not supposed to have anxiety. Well, you got that much right, but you have it. And many people today have anxiety. They drink too much coffee. They eat too much sugar. They are in a state of adrenal fatigue because they just had lifestyle management, too stressful of a job, too much stress at home with toxic people, whatever the case is. But there's the physical underlying cause of that anxiety is what has to be addressed to get the alarms to stop so that the brain and the consciousness can start reporting the good news, okay? That the organs of the neuroendocrine system are healing, the biochemistry and neurochemicals are straight of the pharmacists within are being produced, and now you have good brain chemistry, and therefore you have excellent mental health. So there is nothing wrong with you in your mind, all right? There is obviously a physical underlying cause, and you can, find the root of that cause and then, have your doctor prescribe, many treatments, such as for adrenal fatigue, thyroid disorder, et cetera, and don't go for hormone replacement. There's a huge risk. Again, it doesn't fix anything. All it does is do something for an organ that the organ's supposed to do for itself, and then you run into trouble because the organ's likely to atrophy. The organs are like people. If you do something for them, they'll stop doing it for themselves, and then you get more problems, and no drug can replace that of the inner wisdom of the neuroendocrine system and doing its own checks and balances and producing exactly how much it needs and getting rid of it when it doesn't need it, okay? So you want to heal the organ that is deficient, not do something for it, okay? Maybe in a very, very short term, just get you picked up a little bit or whatever, short term. But but I really don't even. It's such a short amount of time to fix these things. I don't even like the short-term, approach as far as, taking any kind of hormone at all for thyroid or adrenal issues. So if your brain didn't send out those alarms, then there would be something wrong with you. Okay, you got to look at this the opposite way. So everything is working. There is nothing wrong with you. In the big picture. Yes, you probably may have, if you have anxiety, you may have adrenal fatigue. You're not making enough cortisol to have a stress buffer, okay? Or you're overstimulated, you're drinking too much coffee, your lifestyle. So there is nothing wrong with you in the big picture. However, you do have some a deficient metabolism right now that isn't serving your brain chemistry. That is it, all right? So we got it. Everything is working as it should, all right? The brain saying, you wouldn't want, I've said this in an earlier module. I mean, it would scare me to be walking around. Can you imagine what it would be like to be walking around since you were born with no symptoms? Like, you never know something's going on, We take our symptoms for granted, the little one. We don't like it when they last a long time, but we take them for granted. It's like, we got a stomach ache. Oh, we'll have some, baking soda. Oh, we get rid of it. Yay, Well, that's your stomach telling you something is wrong. Of course, when it becomes chronic, then all of a sudden, your body is the enemy, and now we got to just pound down this toxic assault to mask the problem so you can continue doing all the things that created the symptoms in the first place. So anyway, your body and mind are appropriately responding to the toxic diet, lifestyle, environment that is harming it, okay? Your brain is doing what it's supposed to be doing. You are functioning, that part of you is functioning fine. Do not kill the messenger, okay? What we need to do is look in that toxic diet, lifestyle, environment and correct those things and get you in a healing event so that you can recover and then a maintenance so that you maintain, that healthy lifestyle and experience sustainable green mental health for your life. That's the goal here. And people, I had to throw this in here, because it really does boil down to this. Love yourself. Symptoms are your friend. They're there for a reason. They're there to tell you that something is wrong, but they're not telling you to go off to a psychiatrist to get a toxic drug to further harm your body and mind. They're telling you to fix, to stop whatever it is. Get out of the environment, get out of the diet, stop whatever it is that is harming it. And, I'm sure most of you, the lion's share of you know what, really got you in trouble, what's harming you. But if you need that to stop doing what you're doing, but if you need that validation, and for instance, if you're not exercising every day, if you're not eating clean, whole foods, if you're not staying away from the junk out there, if you're not drinking good water, if you're not getting sunshine, if you're not living a healthy lifestyle, you are not going to experience health today. There just simply is no room for people today. Our world is so toxic. It just, health is not a luxury anymore. We actually have to work at it now. We actually have to live a healthy life in order to not be symptomatic. So, this is about loving yourself, accepting yourself. This is like every aspect of your flourishing it and loving it and taking care of your temple, taking care of your body, really loving yourself. And it really does, it pays off. It really pays off. And in a very, very short period of time, it's just miraculous. I am never, ever, I'm just as stunned and in awe as I was as a teenager, getting to experience, watching a cell, in college, watching a cell repair itself under the microscope. I mean, and I now today in my career, I get to watch people repair themselves and watch the transformation. And I'm just as in awe as I was 30 years ago. Every single day, it just, the human body is a miraculous entity. And I'm so glad I have one. So we need to get into this thinking that there is something wrong with you, something out there, in your consciousness, something, inherently wrong with you. It's just not the case. You do have a physical underlying cause that's creating the mental health symptoms. And this evening I am going to help show you how to manage your doctor and finding those causes and responding to that cause. And it's not all in your head. There is a physical, how many times am I going to say this tonight, huh? There is a physical underlying cause of all mental health symptoms, except they're rare. Less than 1% of mental health patients that possess organic damage to the brain suffer by genes and recognizable these are recognizable and diagnosed early in life, usually before 3 years old. Okay, this stuff is evident coming out of the womb. Now, I do have to say that today we are getting more and more. I mean, because we're getting more and more regular people with anxiety and depression that diagnosed with mental illness and then put on psych drugs. It seems that the two populations are keeping the average, the statistics about the same. It's still less than 1% with people with organic damage, but that organic damage is actually becoming, honestly, more and more and more prevalent in our society. More and more birth defects. More and more, not 100% there, mental acuity, mental function when babies are born. It's just, unfortunately, it is it's more and more birth defects, especially in mental health issues, are not that it's a mental health disease, but babies are the wombs are so toxic today because of the toxic environment. That I call this body burden syndrome, by the way, damage from body burden syndrome. More and more babies, GMOs, pesticides are neurotoxic, so they, of course, are going to, in some way, negatively impact fetal brain development. You can't get around it. This is science, okay? Neurotoxic in a fetus equals to some degree, it can be one, or it could be a million cells. It depends on the dose. It depends on many different factors, but to some degree will negatively impact fetal brain development, all right? Can't get around it. The science is oxidative stress is specific to neurons, neurotoxic oxidative stress, okay? So the body burden syndrome is creating, unfortunately, that pregnant women is, as hard as they try, as much as they try, we still live in this very toxic world, and as much as they try and take care of themselves, they're just not educated as well as they should be. The lies on TV, lies in magazines about, GMO foods being fine for you, that's bull. There's already, stacks of scientific literature and trials and evidence out there that these GMOs are being linked to all different kinds of disease, gain and cancers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've opened up Pandora's box there, and we simply will not know the degree of the grave danger that we're in for a little while, but it's starting to come down the pipe. Anyway, so that body burden thing is producing more organic damage to fetuses today. So you know anybody that's pregnant, anybody that's thinking about getting pregnant, you please let them know that they need to eat organic. They need to get rid of all the toxicity in their environment. They need to stop their lotion. Organic, non-toxic. Reduce that oxidative stress, and you got the best hope for a bouncing, happy, healthy baby. Next slide here. So now we're going to get right to it this evening. The physical causes of adverse mental health symptoms. All right, and believe me, there are many. Let me see. I'm going to pull up my own slide here because it's a little larger. I can see better. All right, so the physical causes of adverse mental health symptoms. And then we'll discuss the lab test that can expose the root cause of mental health symptoms. And this is what this page here is a fairly comprehensive, but of course there's more. There's many more, but this is these are the biggies, okay? These are the biggies. What you and your doctor should be looking for, all right? If you have anxiety, depression, even hallucination, like the type of condition that would be called schizophrenic, if you're experiencing, overwhelmed, you're edgy, mental or physical fatigue, chronic fatigue, any of these types of symptoms would be considered mental health symptoms. Here's what I want you to consider in your life and check off the things that you think, maybe, because you know what? People have a good sense of what's going on in them. They really do. They know better. They know more than anybody else what they've put their body through and, what could possibly be causing their symptoms. They know if they drink 5 cups of coffee a day or not. They know, how much sugar they really eat. They know how much processed boxed and canned food they really eat. So, it's very comfortable and more telltale for you to sit here this evening and take a look at this PowerPoint and, honestly consider what you think may be causing your issues and, think about it. And then in the next page, we're going to discuss some tests, and then you can go off to your doctor and explain to your doctor, because, see, now you're about ready to have a PhD in green mental health and green mental health care. So you're going to explain to your doctor that you understand that there is a physical underlying cause to your mental health symptoms, and it's not your psychiatrist I'm talking about. You're going to your regular conventional allopathic doctor. If you can find an integrative physician, great. Even better, but there are more and more, even just doctors that, although they can't practice both, they can't practice holistic, but use your regular family doctor for the diagnostics. They'll be happy to help you, okay? And get, have this covered, by your insurance. So anyway, the food chemicals. Food chemicals we've discussed a lot in this series. Food chemicals cause all kinds of mental health issues, all of them, in fact. They can be linked and are linked to every single one of them, from mental fatigue to anxiety to depression, all of them, even hallucinations, okay? So, that's one. If there's aspartame, MSG, then there's 3,000 or something that they're, shoving in processed foods now. So, just God knows, just stop it. Just stop it. You don't need to be a scientist. Just have common sense. No more processed foods. You don't know what's in there. They're lying about it. What's on the label is not a representation of what's actually truly everything that's in there. So just stop it. You don't know, okay, what's in there. So food chemicals. Adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue is a big one. A lot of people have it today. In fact, I would say well over 50%. It's just simply of adults and more and more children are developing it. It's from overstimulated foods and overstimulated environments, lifestyles, okay? The adrenals, are put in first they go into an adaptation phase where they're trying to keep up with the overstimulus in both, overexcitatory diet, such as the sugars, the aspartame, the MSG, coffee, just overstimulated, Red Bulls, you name it, sugar. And so it goes into an adaptation phase, the cortisol pumping out is trying to keep up with the overstimuli, because it thinks a tiger's chasing it all day long. And over time, this develops actual adrenal fatigue where you're putting out very, very little cortisol. And this could be also linked to insomnia if you're suffering from insomnia. cortisol levels are supposed to rise. You go to sleep with very little. They're at their lowest cortisol output, and then as you sleep, cortisol rises. And if it doesn't rise appropriately, this can cause insomnia. So, there's this insomnia, anxiety, linked directly to adrenal fatigue. See, this is not, a psychiatrist can't help you here. You need to go to your doctor, okay, a real doctor, and get this stuff explored and checked out, okay? Thyroid disorders are linked to many, thyroid disorder, depression. Depression's a big one. Thyroid disorders can be actually linked to hallucinations as well. So, this is another big one. People, the thyroid, your clock for the metabolism, in this day and age, the thyroid's burning out, look at where we're going with this whole series. The body, the neuroendocrine system is burning out, people, and the thyroid is a big one in that, because it sets all the others. So you want to have your thyroid looked at. And again, remember, I said my strongest suggestion. I'm passionate about this. Bioidentical hormone treatment, no. All right, you want to heal the organ that is deficient, and in your thyroid, your adrenals, they are all, your breathing, they are all capable, given the right environment, which is up to you and your doctor to provide you, but they will heal in the right environment. Pituitary shrinkage and burnout. Alcohol abuse has been demonstrated to cause pituitary shrinkage. And by the way, your pituitary is a lieutenant to your hypothalamus, so this is important. All right, a lot of people will test low thyroid output, but this could be due to the pituitary malfunctioning, all right, because the thyroid gets its orders from the pituitary. So, you have to, don't rely on just a thyroid test. You need to get the entire HPTA axis tested, all right? If you have any kind of mental health issue, it is strongly, start coming out of the gate, you should have an HPTA test, a hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, adrenal test. Very important, because this gives you a picture of how it's all working together, the major players, in the adaptation system, how they're working together and which one may be deficient, because, the adrenals take orders from the pituitary as well. So you need to know how the hypothalamus is talking to the pituitary, and the pituitary is talking to the adrenals and the thyroid to really understand, where the deficiency is, because if the thyroid isn't getting the message from the pituitary to pump out thyroid hormone, it won't be pumping it out, and it's capable, it's just not getting the message to do so. All right? So now, this is very, very important for women, okay? I, over the last 10 years, have worked with a handful, 5 or 6 women that have experienced hallucinations, schizophrenic. They, in fact, a few of them were actually diagnosed schizophrenic, and indeed they were not schizophrenic at all. There are many, many causes. In fact, Dr. Abram Hoffer, who wrote the foreword to my first book, Alcoholism: The Cause and the Cure, he is the famous doctor that discovered the adrenochrome connection to schizophrenia. And quickly, the adrenochrome connection is, adrenochrome is a chemical that's made in the body from adrenaline that is very, very similar to that of psilocybin mushroom. It causes hallucinations. That's why Dr. Abram Hoffer put together AC and niacin, niacin to reduce the adrenaline production in the body, and the C to reduce oxidative stress, because it's adrenaline that's oxidized into adrenochrome instead of going the other route to noradrenaline that is turned into this adrenochrome that causes these hallucinations. Okay, so that's one biochemical potential cause for schizophrenic symptoms. Okay, oral and audible hallucinations, and oral and audible, oral and visual hallucinations. Now, ovarian cysts. Okay, back to the handful of women I've had the blessing to work with and learn this from. Ovarian. This is interesting. Okay, ovarian cysts can actually the body works on a feedback loop. All right, so the ovaries, they pump out the hormones and they read like hormones such as PEA. PEA is actually called the drug hormone, and meet someone you really like, and it's people chemistry, and your hands are sweating, and your heart's palpitating, and you're all goofy and high about it. Well, that's actually a hormone. There's a specific hormone released by the ovaries that is responsible for that feeling. And I actually had a patient not too long ago that had when from the time like she was young, 16, 17 years old, started dating boys and getting interested and whatnot. She would get interested, hang out, date, and become progressively incapable of functioning. She right down to not even being able to walk well. She would get manic. She would get completely. She couldn't focus. She couldn't read. She couldn't study. She went through periods where she couldn't even walk straight. She was just goofy, not doing well at all, hallucinating. And it was just frightening. She didn't know what was going on with her, and so she would have to stop seeing, she initially isolate herself, and it would take a couple of weeks for her to feel okay again, and then she'd go back out in the world. Well, when she came to me, and I heard this story, and then over the years, she was in her 30s when she came to me, and this was consistent. She'd meet a guy, and she'd get start developing this condition, and it would have to stop seeing the person, and it was not just her, I'd had a background, but, I asked about ovarian cysts, and yes, indeed, she'd had them. Okay, I've had a couple other patients with hallucinations, primarily manic states, that were, had them as well at a young age, okay? Well, here's an explanation for this, all right? Your hormones, especially at that age, during just after puberty and, throughout your teens, when your body's developing like that, what happens is, your ovaries pump out all these hormones, but the receptors on those ovaries are responsible for monitoring how much hormone is being, produced, monitoring the levels in the blood, so that then when the body determines, when your neuroendocrine system determines it has enough vibration from the receptors on the ovaries, ovaries will stop producing it, and go on and if need be, send out the messengers for enzymes to break the hormone down. But see, because the body's always seeking balance, homeostasis, okay? And this is just the way it works. It's called the feedback loop. The hormones are produced, and then the ovaries can sit there and via the receptors monitor how much of that hormone is in the body, and then when there's enough, stop producing it, and if there's too much, send out enzymes to break it down. Well, back to the patient that I most recently had the blessing of treating. She had ovarian cysts, and what was going on was the PEA was being produced but would build up in her system because her ovaries didn't know when to stop producing it, because there were cysts on there blocking the receptors from being able to read well and respond and trigger all the communication mechanisms, tell the body to stop producing, ovaries stop producing that hormone, or start sending out enzymes to break it down. So she would just keep producing it, and would start going into mental states as a result. So cysts are very, if you know someone that has, there's a number of things to look at. The adrenochrome cysts. If it's a woman and she has cysts, you want to get those cysts, not surgery. I actually, a very, very, I prescribe a very, very raw, at least for 51% raw diet, no breads, no dairy, and all vegetarian, no saturated fats. diet, salads, well, and maybe, some seeds and whatnot, and juicing, green juices for a long, 2 to 3 months, and while taking systemic enzymes, and so that those enzymes will digest the cyst. So, that's how we deal with that. But if you know someone that is suffering what's been diagnosed as schizophrenia, or is, hallucinating and experiencing manic states like that, and it's a woman, you might ask her to go to her doctor, or if it's you, go to your doctor and get tested, all right? So cysts can cause mental health issues. Tumors, of course, brain tumors, thyroid, adrenal, anything that's going to cause any organ of the neuroendocrine system to malfunction, such as tumors, can cause mental health symptoms. Candida, yeast overgrowth. Oh, it is linked to a plethora of mental health symptoms. So, that's one that you want to have. Now, this is why you need to find a doctor that's going to work with you and not fight you and work against you. You want a doctor that believes the same as you do, okay? If your doctor will not work with you on this, and you feel, and won't test you, because most medical doctors, at least the old school ones, most medical doctors, they've been, brainwashed, whatever, they just do not acknowledge Candida, all right? In the holistic professions, in the holistic medical professions, it's one of the biggest things we look for and clear when we find it, 2 clear symptoms, and it does work, because, Candida is getting more and more prevalent, and more antibiotics being used, more processed foods, more sugars, et cetera, et cetera. So it is a problem. It is epidemic, and you should certainly, if you have mental health symptoms, want to be tested for that. Specific nutritional deficiencies such as pyroluria. Pyroluria is a condition where a person is extremely low in zinc and B6. And this condition can cause anxiety, depression, extreme depression, addictive biochemistry, many mental health symptoms, and it is easily corrected simply by the good diet. Of course, practice a good diet. That's across the board, but it's easily corrected by B6 and zinc supplementation. But there's specific. That's why you want to get tested. NutrEval test is very good because it does test for all the basic nutrients and vitamins, minerals, EFAs, all of them. So if you're deficient in magnesium, it is likely that you are going to be suffering, that you do suffer anxiety. So the nutritional deficiencies do absolutely are linked to various mental health issues, because we need these vitamins and minerals and EFAs to make the neurochemicals for our brain to function well. And if we're not making them, our brain's not going to function well. And when our brain's not functioning well, we experience mental health issues. It's just the way, it's the roadmap, okay? It is the way it goes. So anyway, you want to look at possible nutritional deficiencies as cause for your mental health symptoms. Inflammatory and degenerative diseases. Come on, of course, inflammation prohibits the brain from uptaking oxygen and nutrients and eliminating waste. Of course, inflammation is going to cause mental health symptoms. Okay, your brain can't function. All right, if you have an inflammatory disease, if you have a degenerative disease, this is going to affect your mental health. You need to correct, you need to heal your inflammation and or degenerative condition. Okay, and the inflammatory one, that's big, that's huge, because when the brain cells and function are inflamed, things are clogged up. Waste, you suffer more brain tissue loss, more brain cell loss, because the more waste is impacted and lodged into brain cells, the faster they die. That's oxidative stress, okay? So, the waste and the bad stuff can't get out, and the oxygen and the good stuff can't get in. You have reduced circulation in the brain. And by the way, people, there's just one very, very tiny vein, very tiny, that links the hypothalamus to the pituitary, all right? And this is, master control here. And, if that's those two aren't communicating well, you can't hope for a good day, okay? So maybe a moderate day, maybe a mediocre day, but, not a good one. So definitely, those two conditions will cause mental health issues, and you need to, go through, healing those to achieve your mental health. Insulin resistance, chronic mental and physical fatigue. Come on. If you have insulin resistance, if you're overweight, you're likely to. You have insulin resistance. The whole premise of insulin resistance, you can't get the glucose into the cell, into the blood. So, into the cell, to feed the ATP cycle, your energy, your Krebs cycle. So if you can't, if you have insulin resistance, you're not getting the energy into the cell, the glucose into the cell to feed the energy, the combustion machine in there. Of course you're going to have mental and physical fatigue, okay? So you need to correct insulin resistance through your diet. Insulin, diabetes, hypoglycemia, all of them. You eat your way in, you eat your way out, okay? Hypoglycemia, of course, hypoglycemia is going to cause mood swings, all right? You have a cup of coffee, you have a Snickers, woo, you're on top of the world. A half an hour later, especially if you get a bad phone call from your boss in that half an hour, then boom, you're on the skids again. This is hypoglycemia, people. This is the whole nature of hypoglycemia, high and low. When your blood sugar dives down too low, your brain sends off some pretty serious alarms, because your brain is there. Its job is to keep you alive. Its job is to keep everything functioning and monitoring everything so that it functions properly. And when it uses about 20% of your total body energy. That's a lot, okay? It's the organ that uses the most. So yes, when glucose goes low and energy goes low, it's going to send out some pretty serious alarms. And you combine that with a hectic lifestyle, and you've got a recipe for what's labeled bipolar. There's no such thing. There is a such thing as hypoglycemia. There is such things as the symptoms that you are experiencing. Absolutely. I am not denying that. What I'm telling you is that bipolar doesn't exist. All right? Especially bipolar backed up by, with a medication that comes with it, or a drug that comes with it to fix it, okay? Drugs don't heal, they harm, all right? There's no such thing as bipolar, so then there's no such thing as a medicine for it, okay? That is 101 here, okay? There's no such thing as bipolar, so there's no such thing as a medicine for it, all right? There is such thing as hypoglycemia. There is such thing as adrenal fatigue that will cause highs and lows like that, explosive highs and lows, because now not only do you have low blood sugar, but you have, with the hypoglycemia, but you have low cortisol, so you have no stress buffer. So you have no stress buffer against your low blood sugar symptoms, while your brain's sending out all the alarms that things are dying, okay? So anyway, you need to look at this in a new, fresh way, okay? Then we have the next one here is sluggish liver. Yes, especially with all the neurotoxic, excitotoxic, endocrine disrupting, carcinogenic, you name it, thousands of chemicals that people are exposed to. The bioaccumulation of these chemicals absolutely cause the liver over time to get sluggish, overwhelmed, and then it doesn't take long with that going on, where the stuff starts accumulating in your tissues, in your blood, in your organs, all these neurotoxic, cytotoxic, et cetera, chemicals, and the bioaccumulation does absolutely and will cause mental health issues. You need to get your liver fixed. And you know what? If you have symptoms, if you are symptomatic right now, you need to focus on your liver, okay? And by the time you're symptomatic, that means, it's been toxic for a while, and of course if you're on, drugs or, legal or illegal, of course your liver is going to need some love. So, sluggish liver, because, how the, it will, when the liver is sluggish, the bioaccumulation of toxic chemicals that you're exposed to every day is magnified and expedited, and so, of course you're going to start feeling mental health symptoms. Allergies will cause mental health symptoms. A rush of histamine, which switches, on and off and disrupts the methylation cycle. Absolutely allergies are known to cause depression, et cetera. You need to talk to your doctor about, testing you for allergies. Allergies to food. You can eat certain foods throughout the day or throughout the week and experience lows afterwards if you are allergic. Because of actually the allergic response can cause inflammation, brain inflammation, which will cause some mental health symptoms. But there's actually many a plethora of mental health symptoms that can be linked to allergies. Digestive disorders, absolutely. Digestive disorders can easily, especially if you're not eating well, eating the right foods, can easily lead to malnutrition psychosis or even malnutrition mild psychosis. But this could be outpictured as mental fatigue. Not well. Of course, mental fatigue usually goes with physical fatigue, but inability to focus, anxiety, because these digestive disorders. If you're not uptaking your magnesium, if you're not getting calcium, if you have an acidic system, by the way, that's another one I should put up there. pH, acidic systems will cause mental health issues, and most people have them because their diet, coffee is acidic, all this stuff. And also people drink distilled water and reverse osmosis. You have an acidic system, and when your system is acidic, it will prompt your body to pull calcium from your bones to try and neutralize. Because again, homeostasis, people, the body keeps itself at 96.8, 98.6. And it also tries to keep itself at about 7.2 to 7.4 on the pH scale, on your alkaline versus acidic scale, hydrogen scale. So if your system is acidic, it will pull calcium from your bones, and of course there's never going to be enough, and this can lead to osteoporosis and everything. But sticking to the mental health thing, when you don't have enough calcium and your calcium channels and sodium channels are not working well, and you're low on magnesium, this is a roadmap to anxiety. Okay, a roadmap to anxiety. All right. Aspartame is a roadmap to anxiety. I like telling this story, and I'll tell it quickly here this evening, because this is a good one, because, this girl was not on any drugs. She didn't have a history at all of drinking. She had a good family, a good job, college education, just, regular, good kid, 23 years old. She was actually referred to me by my daughter's gynecologist. And she had over a year and a half, her anxiety, she got a job at a bank, and over a year and a half, her anxiety had started, and then it had gotten so bad that she was finding herself taking days off of work because she could not, it was turning into social anxiety, and she could not function, she could not talk to people, she was stuttering, she was having a really hard time being around and having to perform with other people and even talk to other people. And my daughter's gynecologist, who, is a brilliant woman, she saved my daughter's life, in fact. She is an integrative physician, that has tons of reverence for the natural healing process, and thank God, because that was part of what helped save my daughter's life. But anyway, she sent her to me. For a year and a half, she couldn't, it was just, she'd gone through things, she'd run out of her, exhausted her toolbox, so she said, they always give me the hard one. Sends her over to me. Within an hour and a half during the intake, we had nailed it. The girl had, when she started her job at the bank, she already liked her Diet Cokes, not too much, and she had I guess 1 or 2 a day, but which is still a lot, considering the aspartame that's in it. But she started chewing about a pack and a half of gum a day. Because she was working closely with people. She worked at a bank and was working closely with people and was conscious about her breath. And so she just got into this habit of chewing a lot of gum, tons of aspartame. All right. Direct roadmap to anxiety. So all I did, remind you, she was not on there was no alcohol, no drugs, no, food disorders, no anything. She had, other than this aspartame. So, the Cokes and the gum. So, I took her, of course, I said, stop it now. Just right now, all aspartame. I put her on a brain food rich diet, got her, preparing whole foods, taking care of herself. She was actually, and by the way, she'd gained in a year and a half, she'd gained 30 pounds. which is also linked to aspartame. And so anyway, within 3 weeks, the anxiety was nearly all gone, and she had lost about 15 pounds. And then within the 6-week program, the anxiety was gone completely, and the weight was off, and she was off to live her life. Okay? This was a young woman, 23 years old, that was experiencing such bad anxiety she could not make it to work. And within 6 weeks of just eating right, getting off the aspartame, she was doing fine. Okay? So that's how specific, that's how closely aspartame can be linked to mental health issues, all right, such as anxiety and depression as well. So anyway, denatured food and water, malnutrition, and deficient in electrolytes. If you're deficient if you're not drinking live water, you're deficient in electrolytes, and you are slowly killing yourself, okay? You need electrolytes to be well, and you need to get them from water, and you need to drink plenty of water every day, 6 to 8 glasses, all right? We've talked about the denatured food and water. You know by now the right thing to do. You've got a recipe book to get you started, and you just need to get nature back in your food and water, clean nature back in your food and water. But denatured food and water will absolutely, the loss of electrolytes will absolutely cause mental health issues, okay? The cells can't function without proper electrolyte balance in the body. And then, of course, toxic exposure, body burden, multiple chemical sensitivities, pesticides, neuro and excitotoxic toxins, endocrine disruptors, carcinogens. I've been over this a few times. I can't say it enough. Your environment, your toxic diet, and your toxic environment is the core, if not the core, but probably the strongest contributor to your mental health issues, because they over time cause oxidative stress, which over time causes damage to the neuroendocrine system, which will produce mental health issues. Okay, so these are the physical causes of adverse mental health symptoms. And there's others, but these are the biggies, all right? Now, here's, let me change it over on your view here so you can work in tandem with me. There we go. Now, tests. Okay, this is what probably most of you have been waiting for. Now, I'm going to go through these a bit quickly, but, you have the PowerPoint. You can even print this out, bring it to your doctor, say, look, at how many of these can I get on insurance, or, for my condition. Get as much done as you possibly can. The more information, the more lab testing, better informs your doctor to get you an accurate diagnosis, so you guys can work from there to put together a treatment program for you that's going to target your condition and get you well on your way to health and wellness. So the brain chemistry, HPA and HPT testing, that's hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, and thyroid testing for key neurotransmitter hormone levels. Very important. Now, I don't suggest doing this right off the bat, okay? First thing you need to do is detox everything out of you. Then it's a good time to do the neuroendocrine thing, because you're all over the map. We know it. You're not doing well, okay? You need to detox, because when you get these tests done, you're going to exhaust, because insurance will only do it maybe once a year or, once every 6 months. Don't waste your once on, getting it done right at the beginning, because, if you're on psych drugs or have been addicted to any kind of drug, you've probably got adrenal fatigue. I'm not saying treat it. What I'm saying is first spend about 6 to 7 weeks, like in this program, to detox. Get the sugar out of you. Get the coffee out of you. Start sleeping well. Get yourself cleaned up. Then test, because a lot of the healing would have already been, has already started. But at least you're not reading what coffee is doing to your brain. Like people walk in and take one of these tests, just walk in the doctor's office, take the test, and there's been no proper preparation. You don't know if it's the drug you're on, if it was the donut you had that's showing, you could have depression and show, fine serotonin levels, because the donut jacked it up, okay? That's why you had the donut, probably because low serotonin. So you have the donut, then the serotonin goes up for a while. So get all the junk out of you, and then test these. And then there's the tests that are good, when you begin the detox, all right? They're helpful, such as heavy metal, but I'll get there. Body burden testing. I'm not sure how much insurance will cover this right now. This is the newest, I think, except, maybe if the doctor determines or suspects that you have multiple chemical sensitivities, you may be able to get some body burden testing done, like for, phthalates and bisphenol A and such. But anyway, you have to talk to your doctor about that one. But body burden testing would be a good one to get some really, really good, valuable information about what's going on under the hood there. Various chemical sensitivities, and that would be demonstrated in a body burden test. Also an allergy, okay, food allergies and chemical. Liver overload, there's a thing called functional liver detoxification profile, and this is a 3D look at how your liver is doing, okay? Very important. You don't want just a CBC. You get to count, how many, the enzymes from protein deaths from the liver, because, okay, fine, you may have some protein death, but why? A functional liver detoxification profile actually challenges the 6 major detoxification pathways through the liver and measures it so that you can see which is deficient, which pathways are working for you. And then once you know which is deficient, you can actually get the targeted nutritional therapy to help assist that part of the liver and bring it back, and of course reduce, what is overloading the liver by doing the detox diet. Methylation and histamine testing, Krebs cycle, that's your energy cycle, ATP cycle testing. The NutraVal, full metabolic analysis profile. Look that up. It's from Genova Labs, and boy, I tell you, that's one of my favorite ones. I run all my patients through that one, and it is thorough. And that, again, I would wait until you're cleaned up to get that one, because it is expensive. And talk to your doctor, but I think it'd be kind of hard for your doctor to justify it, twice in 3 months. And you really want a picture of your baseline biochemistry, not when you got a bunch of junk in you, because then you're just getting readouts from, a bunch of junk. You want to see how your body's functioning unadulterated. Thyroid and pituitary testing, that goes up with the brain, HPA and T testing. Immune system testing, your immune system being taxed can absolutely cause mental health issues. A CBC is a complete blood count. That's a standard metabolic test provided with physicals. That would be helpful, especially you can get that at the beginning if you like, because it does give some very good information about what's going on at a lot of different points in the system that's going on that your doctor could glean a lot of information from to help better diagnose you. Leaky gut syndrome. That is a key one that causes a lot of mental health issues. This is where the bacteria and germs and pathogens get through the lining of the gut and can quickly cause a lot of complications that result in mental health issues because they add to the body burden that's already present in the system and just really, for lack of a better scientific term, muck things up. But that mucking absolutely can lead to mental health issues, and it also is it's an indicator that the diet isn't right and that you're, And by the way, psych drugs are very, very hard on the gut. They're very acidic. They're very, very toxic, and they do a lot of damage to the gut. So that would be, if you are on psych drugs, that would be a key one for you to ask your doctor about. Pancreatic, you want to get some pancreatic testing done, especially if you have digestive issues. Live blood cell analysis. Now this one, I'm not sure. There's not a whole lot of doctors that will run a live blood cell analysis. It's not, to my knowledge, last I read, it's not approved as a vehicle to use for diagnostics. Okay, a test to use for diagnostics. Doctors are not allowed to do that. Probably because it's very thorough, very can tell you a lot, and it's very inexpensive. These hospitals want to charge that insurance money, those insurance companies, for their big expensive machines. And many times a live blood cell analysis is not only immediate, but can tell a whole lot about you and your condition, especially if it's metabolic, which mental health issues and addiction is. So let's see, we have the environmental pollution, industrial waste, that's the body burden testing again. The two big ones that I would suggest that we know are endocrine disruptors are bisphenol A and phthalates, especially if you're having hormonal issues, if you're eating out of cans, et cetera, plastic bottles. This is real, people. Take this serious. And I think Metametrics is the one that we use to, is the one that we use to test those specific two ones, because they are the two, two of the top 10 in the environment today that's causing people some mental health issues. Heavy metal toxicity, many of you probably know about that already, but yes, mercury, absolutely, mercury in the teeth, mercury in your shots, mercury in your high fructose corn syrup, mercury in your nose sprays and your eye drops. It seems to be popping up more and more everywhere, and it absolutely is connected to cancer, to cardiovascular disease, to anxiety, to mental health issues. So you want to get, and that's one of the ones that you can do at the beginning of your detox, because it'd be good to know if you are heavy metal toxic, which it's likely that you are, and once that's determined, then you can justify getting all those greens for the green juices for the chelation sensation drink in your recipe book. And you take that drink into the sauna, do it once a day, and I actually did it myself while we were in Costa Rica, and cleared myself of mercury that accumulated. I do it about once a year, within a month, using that drink. So, it depends on how toxic you are, but for me, and many of my patients within a month cycle, we're able to pull it out like that. And sometimes we use some other products like, suppositories, detoxin, depending upon how toxic and their health, because you have to be healthy. Your detoxification systems have to be working well to do IV chelation. Otherwise, you can really, do some damage, because, you're releasing all that mercury into the system in a very aggressive way, very potent way. And if your liver and lymphs and, detox pathways are not working well, it could cause symptoms, and you've already suffered enough. Don't do things that would cause you to suffer anymore. Sugar consumption, of course, hypoglycemia, and diabetes testing. So you want to get your blood sugar tested. Caffeine, overconsumption of stimulants, that one okay? If you're symptomatic at all, just stop it, okay? Just stop it. It's not worth it. Just stop it. Stop the caffeine. Get yourself some hot teas. Some teas. A lot of my patients, there's two products, Teechino, Teechino, that's organic, mostly organic, and the other one, I've taken a lot of patients that's quickly and easily off of, because it's so flavorful, off of coffee, with the Good Earth decaf spicy. The traditional Good Earth tea is one of my favorites, and my patients love it. It's robust. It's spicy. They just love it, and it helps really take the place of that coffee that they're so attached to. Traumatic injury, mental, physical adjuvant pain management to relieve addiction to opiates. Okay, so injury, when you're talking to your doctor now, if you got addicted to opiates, painkillers, because of an injury, a car accident, athletic accident, recreational accident, whatever it is, if you, were put on opiates, painkillers, as a result of that, and got addicted, but you're still in pain, what you need to do is you need to get yourself a really good doctor, and again, I'm going to drive in and say that word again, integrative. You want an integrative physician. You want physical therapy. You want acupuncture. You want chiropractic if it's indicated. Your doctor would know that if it's safe for you. If it's a bone or back issue, you really need to talk to your doctor. Anyway, you want to do everything you can. Meditation, hot soaks, and magnesium, and Epsom salts. You want to do everything you can in an anti-inflammatory diet, such as that you can get from cooking from that cookbook that you got in this program. You want to do everything you possibly can to reduce pain naturally, so that you can easily get start tapering off of your painkillers. Okay, I don't care how long you've been on, if it's 4 years, 5 years, 8 years. All right, but do everything. Get on an anti-inflammatory diet. do the soaks, do whatever it is, that your integrative physician suggests to minimize the pain naturally. Get that weight off of you. If you have any kind of pain, joint pain, anything, and you have weight, well, you're just making it worse. You lighten yourself up, and guess what? Less tissue damage, less nerve cell damage, nerve tissue damage, less pain, less friction, less pain. So what I'm saying here is that you need to address the pain issue to humanely start getting yourself off of those painkillers, because, if you're in pain, you don't want to live in pain, but you also don't want to live all in a fog of opiates. So, that's how you want to approach it, a comprehensive approach. And hopefully you got the really good doctor that can lead you to, whatever is, the collection of treatments and services, to get you through a total and successful healing event. And then, wow, no more pain, no more need for the drug. And then, tested for listed above. And by the way, in a traumatic injury, whether it's an experience or pain, physical pain, it will cause a deficient neuroendocrine system, because pain is another word in the body for overstimulation. Okay, so your parasympathetic nervous system has been trying to produce enough cortisol for years, has been trying to produce all the feel goods, the serotonin, the beta endorphins, all this to mediate the physical, mental, or emotional pain, whether it's a memory, an experience, or falling out of love or something, whatever it is. But if it's chronic, and you're going to tank one day and become symptomatic. So you need that counseling, and then of course fixing your diet, because a symptomatic body it makes it very, very hard to heal. You're conscious about an experience with a symptomatic body, because it just reminds you of pain all day. Okay, so it's hard to get inspired about a future when the present is painful, physically, or deficient. If you're depressed now because your neuroendocrine system's been damaged by long-term perceived or stress caused by an experience that you have not been able to heal from. So. And then, of course, stress, job stress, family stress. One of the best ways, I like to, it's already well after 7. Stress, I explain, the effects of stress on the body. Everybody's fully aware of it. You need the counseling, identify your core values, build your highest vision, create the highest vision of yourself, and get on it, people. Get on it. Just start, leading your life by your core values, so that you're not, your career is so that your career is aligned with your religious values. So your family life is aligned with your core values. All of it, when everything is aligned with those core values, then everything will flow together and support each other. If you have a job that doesn't align with your core values, when you live your life in compartments, it takes a lot more energy, and a lot more energy equals stress. All right, so you need to work with the counselor and get those core values identified, that highest vision of yourself identified, and then get on it. Living that life that you envision for yourself, and structured by your core values. So anyway, I'm going to move on to the next one. Those are the tests that you would like to, ask your doctor to consider. All right, integrated medicine for an integrated body. You cannot separate the body from the mind, so you want a doctor and clinic that integrates multiple medical models to address the comprehensive nature of disease with an equally comprehensive set of treatments required for your individual needs to assist your healing event and ensure sustainable health by educating you on how to take care of your beautiful self after you achieve your initial goal of recovery. Protect what you recover, okay? So, the first, part of the process, of course, is to recover. Detox, biorepair, recover, all right? But you want to work with somebody that's going to be educating you about what the core problem was, what the core issue was, get it out of your life, get it out of your environment, get it out of your diet. Here's how to live a healthy life. Get on it, and that's the way, you're going to, promise yourself a sustainable recovery, okay? It doesn't end when the symptoms clear, okay? Every day you have to be actively healthy. You have to live a healthy lifestyle to be healthy, to experience health today, all right? Responding to the results. You want your treatment to be aligned with nature and supported by science, real science. And real science is simply a witness to nature. Real science does not try and modify or control nature, all right? Real science is a witness to nature, and medicine should try and emulate and assist the natural healing process, all right? So the ideal scenario, such as, that we provided the BioSanctuary now, is integrative physicians, working with holistic expert practitioners, all right? The integrative physician oversees your care, makes sure that you're not taking any risk, runs your diagnostics, because only medical doctors can actually diagnose conditions, so they can run those lab tests. They know what to look for. They're professionals. They're doctors, okay? And they're doctors that have demonstrated by getting a secondary holistic degree, such as naturopath or Chinese medicine, have demonstrated their reverence for nature and their reverence for the natural healing process by getting that other degree and meshing it with their medical knowledge. That's the best of both worlds right there in one person. Those are the kind of doctors you want to work with. But you always want your response to their diagnoses to be green, to be non-toxic, non-addictive, and non-invasive, okay? So that's the best of both worlds: the diagnostics, the medical oversight, the training the medical doctor has, combined with that reverence for nature that doctor can provide you evidence-based holistic treatments to succeed in the healing event that you require. So green versus toxic. Green mental health care provides, now by the way, so here's the two systems, okay, the two paradigms, all right, the two options that you have. Green mental health care, which provides an integrated medical model, well, mine does anyway. There's still, there's many people that don't, they're on one side of the fence or the other, and by the way, it is ideal. I'm blessed. I'm here in Malibu. I'm working with the clinic now, a brilliant team of physicians, integrative physicians, and I'm just so glad that the people of Southern California here have access to something like this. But because it is ideal to work with a clinic, a team of doctors and integrated doctors, integrative physicians who work with the holistic experts and practitioners under one roof, because these people are working with each other. And even if you have a naturopath and a regular doctor, they don't know each other. They don't work together a lot. They don't have it doesn't work out as well for the patient. But if that's all you got, then that's the best you got. Okay, if you don't have a place to go where they're all working together, then the next best thing is, of course, to have a naturopath and an integrative physician. Or your regular doctor with a naturopath. But anyway, restoring the health and malfunction. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. So the green mental health care model provides an integrated medical model of both allopathic and holistic treatments that are non-toxic, non-invasive, and non-addictive, restoring the health of the malfunctioning organ or organs, causing mental health symptoms and addictive biochemistry. Okay, that's your green option, all right? So this is a cure model, all right? This is not a treatment for life model. This is a cure model, all right? Now, your other option is toxic treatment, which masks the symptoms, perceivably forgives the toxic diet and lifestyle responsible for the original symptoms, and then adds oxidative stress, which is potential for disease, while slowly taking away from health as opposed to assisting the bio and energetic healing mechanisms of the body and mind. Toxic drugs impair the natural healing mechanisms of the body, okay? They do not assist. They impair them. You don't know it because they're masking symptoms. That's scary, all right? But these are your two options here, all right? You're either going to get the toxins out of you and go the green way and actually heal your body, or you're going to take the toxic route and damage your body more, shorten your life, and reduce your quality of life. And here's a little map I wrote for just to understand the flow from one is from the flow is to disease, and the other flow in tandem is toward health and wellness. On the left here we have toxicity that leads to malnutrition because of the toxic load. toxic load exhausts the body's nutrients in having to metabolize and eliminate them. Then that leads to cellular damage, which leads to biochemical and communication deficiencies, metabolic chaos, such as addictive biochemistry, which leads, and this is where things get symptomatic, mental and physical. And all these, this leads to organ damage, which leads to disease, all right? So the green mental health care way is to detox the toxicity, fill that void, that malnutrition void, with nutrient-rich diet and targeted nutritional therapy, which allows the cells, provides an environment for the cells to repair and replicate. That's growth mode. That's healing, okay? Reinstates healthy biochemical processes and cellular communication, renews organ tissue and function as opposed to continuing to damage it, which all this leads to health and wellness of the body and mind. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, people. I forgot I was not. Let me get back to the teleseminar here. I was going a little ahead here on my own slides. Okay, we had that. So we're about ready to wrap up here and get to questions. With no scientific, I just want to drive this back. I need to drive these edicts home with you, because you know there's so much out there telling people that this stuff is medicine, and you know if you're having anxiety, you should go to a psychiatrist. And I'm trying to tell you, no, go to your regular doctor or look us up. But you know if you want you want to use your regular doctor, that's what I'm here to help you do, to save money and get yourself back, reclaim your life, all right? So prescribe versus push, with no scientific validation for diagnosis and no empirical evidence that the condition exists. What is the difference between getting your drugs from your doctor and getting your drugs from the street? There isn't. In fact, there was a judge that determined that in a court case. I wish I could cite it for you. It was phenomenal when I read that. Okay, so this leads me to say that the crack addict is actually ahead in getting in the getting well process than the housewife on Zoloft, because the crack addict realizes that he or she has to stop doing the drug to get well. See, people are thinking they're taking medicine when they're not. Okay, it's a toxic drug. The drug addict, the street drug addict, by the time they get to me, they've already gone through the psychological disconnect. They're not psychologically attracted to that drug or addicted to that drug. They know they have to stop doing that drug to get well. And that's what anybody on a psychiatric drug needs to understand, just as clearly as a street drug addict understand that you have to get off of that drug to truly get well, okay? So please choose that green model that I expressed. And just one other note that I'd like to leave you with, they have, they meaning the psychiatric, the APA, Psychiatric Association, American Psychiatric Association. They have made up nearly 400 mental diseases, and I wrote this, by the way, in 2008, 2009, so it could be more by now, who knows. They have made up nearly 400 mental diseases, of which they have not cured one. That is how utterly incompetent the pharma psychiatric medical model is. If you're going to make up a disease, you should make up a cure. The reason why they are reluctant to research the true cure for their made-up diseases is it would involve picking up a broom until they found an honest way to make a living in medicine. Okay, that means they'd have to go back to school and learn something to actually help people get well. All right? So now remember, they've made up 400 mental diseases and they have not cured one. All right? What kind of system is that? That's not a system where you want to put yourself in when you need to heal. All right? If would you get on a plane that you knew was going to crash? And that's pretty much the same idea here. You know, that's a metaphor for going to the psychiatric model and taking toxic drugs to heal a mental health issue. All right? The DSM, Psychiatrist's Bible, has grown from 106 diagnoses in 1952 to nearly 400 mental diseases in 1994, and who knows how many will show up in the 2009 DSMV. It doesn't make sense that if they knew what they were doing and it was effective, it would be getting smaller. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense that it keeps getting bigger, okay? What I'm trying to say here is that if they knew what they were doing, that DSM should get smaller, right? And that's common sense, all right? Doesn't it make sense that instead of making up diseases to justify prescribing drugs and treating symptoms caused by malnutrition, toxicity, and oxidative stress with more toxicity called medicine, their drugs, and oxidative stress, and they look for the root cause of any condition, they would heal both the patient and the vehicle of entry, food, air, water, unfriendly to family industry, and would implement educational systems starting in grade school that taught children the true mechanics of healthy living and how to avoid mental distress. Having taken an honest look at what is causing today's mental health symptoms, people, this, approach would save the world while we saved ourselves, okay? So, anyway, I'm going to leave you with this. Get proof, okay? You want your doctor to provide proof, and I'm telling you only your allopathic doctor can provide you proof of the physical causes underlying your mental health symptoms. Get proof, all right? That will keep you off of those psych drugs because the psych can't give you proof, not empirical evidence, not black and white, no tests, nothing, okay? So because this is why you want proof. If your doctor doesn't know the cause, your doctor cannot provide an evidence-based treatment strategy. It's as simple as that, okay? When you take your car to a mechanic, they run the diagnostics, and they tell you your car's not starting because your carburetor's broken, all right? They replace the carburetor, so now they see what's broken, they replace it, okay, and you drive away, all right? They don't sit there and talk to the car about how the car feels. All right? But you get my point, okay? It's not subjective, all right? Medicine should be objective. Medicine should, it should be based in science, and so that science provides proof for a course of action, all right? So, everyone, thank you for joining me. I am going to hand it over to Rachel to get in a few questions. I'm sorry I did go long. It was a very, very important topic this evening. But I'll try and get as many questions answered as I can before we have to leave. And then, of course, as Rachel has pointed out and instructed, that if you don't get it answered tonight, then please, email us, and she'll give you that information, and we'll answer your question, okay?